Welcome back to the Fantasy Huddle podcast. My name is Aneesh.
And it's your boy Temi. What's popping?
Welcome back. We took a little midweek break, but we're back. Mid-year break, sorry. We're
Yeah.
back for the rest of the season. We only have 5 weeks left in the regular season and then 8 weeks left in total because there's 3 weeks of playoffs. But nearing the end already, halfway essentially.
Yeah. Last 2 months of fantasy. It's been an interesting first 2 months.
It has been. But yeah, not to jump ahead, but let's huddle up and get ready for the episode. So yeah, as usual, we're going to start off with a quick league update from this past week and then go over some games from this week and then the best players and the worst players from this past week as usual. And we have a little fun segment called Superlatives. Go over some just like mid-year review kind of awards. And then have injury watch, wrapping up with waiver targets and week 10 prediction. So Temi, league update. As I just wanted to call you out because unfortunately the highest scorer was the one person you faced, Mr. James. You had 142 points. How do you feel about that matchup?
It was a good week for James. I think I lost this matchup because of bad management decisions that I don't know. I was pondering who to start a couple hours and I decided to go with for my flex position and the player I decided to go with unfortunately didn't do so well. If I started the other player I was considering, I'll have had a chance or even beat James actually. But it happens. That's fantasy football. James had a very, very good week. Lots of big, big performances for his team.
Yeah. And then on the other hand, though, the lowest scorer, Mr. Sawyer Thomas. He not doing well. 35 points this past week. He lost to Vinny, who just got a second win this year. I just want to shout him out. Vinny got 132 points, which is the third highest, I think. So, yeah, good for him, but bad for Sawyer, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately, Villian has been in a slump, and his win to loss record does not fully reflect his team, in my opinion. If I looked at his team on paper, I would I've expected him to be 2-6, or 2-8, 2-7.
He's 2-7.
So 2-7, but the boy still has a chance to make the playoffs. So there's still a lot to play for.
Yeah. Yeah, so no one's eliminated just yet, but we were just having a conversation earlier today. Maxell, just want to shout him out. He is the first one to officially clinch a playoff spot. He is 8-1. There's no scenario in the entire world that will prevent him from making the playoffs. Even if he loses the next 5 weeks, still guaranteed a spot.
Yeah,
So
I always say from fantasy, my rule of thumb is 8 is the magic number. You make 8 and you're in. It's very unlikely for you to not make the playoffs unless like only like a lot of people just suck and like it's top heavy. But now it's type of league scenario. There's no way you have 8 wins and you don't make the playoffs.
yeah, the league's very close though. So who knows how the standings will finish up. But yeah, let's jump into the games.
Wait,
Thursday.
before we move on, one funny thing that I noticed was although Max is the only one that's clinched the playoffs in the website power ranking, Max is actually in the bottom 4 teams,
Yeah.
which is interesting. That's a very, very weird scenario, but
It
I peeped that and I was like, huh.
it takes into account like overall players you have on your team, and he just lost Diggs. And Max's team, the rankings you got to take into account like overall, like Diggs kind of just hurt him a lot. Uh, I feel like he's being carried right now by Saquon. I don't know. Devontae, it doesn't like Devontae as well. I was looking through the numbers. It's very low on Devontae. Obviously, you can pick it up, but rankings may be a little skewed.
Yeah,
He should be
yeah.
number one.
But
You got to give him the
James
prop.
got that top spot, and CMC is coming back soon, so James is looking scary.
Yeah, yeah, it's sure. He has CMC back. He also has Devon HN. Yeah, he has really good running backs now all of a sudden. But yeah, anything else about league update before moving on?
The only thing of mine is my boy Mike, unfortunately, has been on a bad
All right.
losing streak right now. I think he's on a 5 game losing streak. I'm sure he made that trade for Nico Collins, but he desperately need Nico to come back. Otherwise, that trade wouldn't mean anything because it would be too late and he might not be able to make the playoffs.
Yeah,
But it's still competitive league.
he's currently 3-6. Yeah, so he started off 3-1 in that case.
Yeah.
Big turnaround. He needs some wins. There's only 5 weeks left. He needs to
Yeah.
be
Magic number
um
8.
yeah. We shall see if he can do it. Yeah, I think he has to go 4-1 to go 500. That's tough. I'm facing him this week, so good luck, Mike.
Battle of the Titans.
All right, let's finally move on to some games. First one, Thursday. We have the contender for one of the worst games I've seen this year. As a fan, it was just kind of like, what is happening? It was just like a slow game, just turnovers, just bad overall offense, defense, whatever, overall. So anyways, the Jets faced Texans. Jets won 21-13. Yeah, like I said, the theme of the game was just awful. It was just really bad. Um, yeah, I want to touch on the Texans real quickly. CJ Stroud is going through a very big slump right now, at least for fantasy. And I guess in real life too. He's been really average. Do you think he can turn around when Nico inevitably comes back and be viable for
Yeah.
fantasy?
Yeah. Maybe not for fantasy, but for real life, it might be. Just because Nico is like his favorite target. And having Nico and Mixon LT would keep them afloat even after losing Diggs because they have Tank Dell. Uh, but Nico is the key for Stroud to be a top player again. Right now, he's looking very ugly without Stroud, without uh, Nico and Diggs. So he desperately needs Nico back. But yeah, it was just awful this past Thursday night.
Yeah, I agree. I remember in the drafts in the fifth round, I chose Tank Dell over CJ Stroud, and I thought that was gonna haunt me. But right now, Dell's just like marginally, like he may be just marginally better. I don't know. It's just interesting to keep an eye on the Texans.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. Right now, see just that Stroud is just got to bench him as a QB for the QB position until
Yeah,
Nico comes back.
if you have other options, I'd bench. On the other
Yeah.
side, though, the Jets, Aaron Rodgers with 3 passing touchdowns. Would you start Aaron Rodgers over CJ Stroud?
Oof, I don't like either, but I don't know. Starting Aaron Rodgers right now with the Jets, it's just like they just they're like they have a lot of talent,
Mhm.
but they keep hunting themselves and like they just can't put it together to translate into wins. Aaron is not consistent enough for me to want to start him.
Yeah,
So without Nico, I'll start Aaron Rodgers. With Nico, I'm starting CJ Stroud. But
but
maybe no, Devontae Adams just got traded there, so we'll see.
take uh take Stroud out of this, do you start Aaron Rodgers moving forward, like comfortably?
No,
No.
no, I don't trust the Jets at all. The Jets are just not consistent. Not this year. Maybe next year they'll be able to finally piece things together. But it feels like there are other things that play beyond football in the background. Obviously, I don't know what's going on in their locker room, but when a team starts to defeat themselves in ways that the Jets are, makes me feel like there's more than just the football talent. Because they have the talent, they should be a top team in this league. They just can't put it together. They lack discipline. So, it's, to me, I can't invest in that offense.
I can't invest in the quarterback because
Yeah,
the rest
yeah,
of the
in the
offense,
quarterback. Yeah,
yeah,
quarterback.
rest of the offense is pretty good. Wilson
Yeah,
shined this
Wilson is
game.
good. Yeah,
He had one of the best catches, if not the best catch of the year so far. Um, Devontae Adams with a touchdown, and then Brees Hall been what's up with him?
doing quiet.
Yeah,
That's the thing. You can't. It's either the Jets, it's either the running game
with the
is
passing.
shining or the passing game is shining. You can't have both, unfortunately. And then with Devante Adams, they're probably more likely to pass, more passing attempts than they were before.
Yeah, Adams got a lot of targets. Let me look what he got. He had
One, two,
11
nine,
targets,
10. Whoa.
7 for 11, 91 yards. Damn. Yeah, he's the number one guy that Rodgers looks to for um honestly most of the time because he also targets Wilson. Devontae Moore. All right, moving on. I'm done talking about the Jets. I hate the Jets. Uh, Sunday, let's talk about pretty exciting game. Seahawks-Rams. This game went to overtime. Rams won 26-20. First thing I think we got to shout out is Jackson Smith-Njigba. He had a big breakout game. He was the top scorer in fantasy this week. You got to give him the yeah, all the flowers, whatever. He was amazing. Um, is this something that can be repeatable? We're jumping ahead a little bit, but how do you feel about
Yeah,
JSN?
I like Jason. I think for as long as DK is out, it is definitely very repeatable. Well, when DK comes back, DK commands so much target just because he's
Yeah,
the best wide receiver in that team. So he's gonna, and there are gonna be a lot of games that Kenneth Walker have a bigger game that they don't pass the ball as much. But for the Seahawks, it was a passing game that was working for them in this game. So JSN benefited from that plus DK being out. Uh, it's a great game. Definitely increased his value long term, but I'm skeptical if how repetitive it will be just because of the other stars on the team. But him as a talent, he's capable of doing this.
yeah. There were some trade talks that Seahawks would trade DK. They didn't end up trading him, so he's still on the team. So it depends on if he's healthy. Yeah, he's still number one target.
Yeah, I don't know. Like them trading DK would be a massive shift from their identity because I feel like DK is Seattle at this point. He's been there since he got drafted. He's very loved in the city. I'm surrounded by Seahawks fans and they love DK, so it would be a different change in plans if they were to trade him.
There would be. And on the other side, though, for the Rams, not too very exciting for them. Karen did okay. Puka got ejected for punching somebody. Um, yeah, how Cup did. Cup
21
did
points.
okay. Cup did pretty well. Oh,
Yeah,
14 targets. Wow.
yeah.
Man,
Got a lot of targets. Did pretty well.
yeah,
Uh,
Cup is phenomenal. So damn. Hmm.
I mean, I think it benefited from Puka getting ejected in the first half of the game. Like that was That was stupid. But players get frustrated. They're humans, so he reacted uh, and threw a punch, so he got ejected. Hurt some people's fantasy teams, but it happens.
It happens. But for the second week in a row, though, this guy got two uh, touchdowns caught. Demarcus Robinson. He had 27 points this week. Two touchdowns,
Yeah,
as I said. He's playing really well. It's like the second or third wide receiver in the rotation. So
yeah, definitely benefiting from the touchdown and being a good red zone target. So, but there's a risk of when the touchdowns don't come, will you have enough workload to be productive as a flex option?
yeah,
Maybe.
maybe something to keep an eye out. I'm pretty sure he's available on a lot of waivers
Hmm.
at this point. It's slim pickings, but
It's very slim pickings.
yeah. All right, moving on to Dolphins versus Bills, the second game on the Sunday slate that we're talking about. Bills won 30-27. Uh, yeah, it was a great game. Our buddy Lance was at this game. He had a great time. It was tailgating since the morning. This is a 1 p.m. game. Bills Mafia. Um, but yeah, my takeaways from this game, I think Devon Achane might be a top 3 running back moving forward for fantasy wise since Tua came back. And it's kind of scary. He's been nothing but elite. You can't say you can't say that. Oh, the opposite of that. Well, I don't know. I really am super high on that HN.
Devon, Devon Achin for me is like obviously is great, and I guess maybe with two back, will be productive. But I feel like he's very boomer bust, which is one thing I don't like about him. He's been like in games that Tua played, he's been boom. So if Tua stays out, he's likely to stay that high. But I don't like the either you give me 26 points or you give me 3 points. I don't like that. And Raheem Mostert is out here now, so yes, HN Gaudi love this past game, but it makes me question him just because of the lack of consistency. Because when you need him the most, he might not be there. And I like play like Kyron, for example, this week, down week, still give you 10 points. Right? It's not great, but it's not like terrible. I like that type of top player is better.
So let me ask you this then. Are you worried about Tyreek Hill moving forward too? Because he gave you 2 points earlier this year, and it also gave you
Yeah,
26.
yeah. I mean, but he's been scoring like 10 points, 12 points. I mean, it's not the Tyreek Hill we all drafted in the first round. So yes, I am worried to answer that question. Uh, so I'm not. I wouldn't now say Tyreek Hill is a top 5 fantasy wide receiver at this moment. But HN is like has this big flashes to
I'd argue HN has been more consistent than Tyreek Hill. He's only had 3 games where he's below 10 points, and the rest of the 6 games he's played, or 5 games, above 10, but 4 of them above 23.
No, he's been better
So
than Tyreek. Absolutely. Like if I'm to have either one of the two, I'd rather have HN this year. Just the pass catchers in Miami are not doing so hot this season.
yeah,
Like
Tyreek
18,
is
this
definitely
past game,
struggling.
yeah, like he's too dynamic in the receiving game. But like he's 18, like he's getting 8 targets. Like the past 2 games, he's had 8 targets. In a game, if you want to know if HN is gonna do well, if he gets 7 or more passing targets, you're gonna have
Yeah,
a productive day from HN. Like this season, all the games that he's had 7 or more targets is been over 25 or 20 points. So that's the ultimate
yeah.
marker for him, which is other in like the likes of Jalen Waddle in the short passing game.
Yeah, I guess if you're an HN owner, you're very happy. I'm I think he's elite. I don't know.
Easily. I'm not
Yeah.
questioning that easily. I just the only part I just don't like is the boom and bust, but maybe because Tua was out, that's why it was so low.
Yeah. I think the Tua impact was too big. They their backup quarterbacks were awful. Like literally awful. So yeah. And on the other hand though, the Bills offense just continues to put up high points. Josh Allen still a top five quarterback this while losing Diggs, first of all. Getting a whole bunch of like I wouldn't say no name receivers, but they're still a little
Meet
unproven.
average.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mediocre, mid tier. Aside from Josh Allen and James Cook, who is the best running back on the team,
Did you say
who is
Josh Downs? Yeah, you said Josh Allen, right?
said yeah, aside from Josh Allen
Yeah.
as their quarterback and James Cook as their best running back, who is the best offensive player slash pass catcher on the team?
For consistency, I mean, it's hard because Amari Cooper has only played 2 games and is injured. Uh, but for the guys that are available, Khalil Shakur has been the most consistent.
And it,
Keon Coleman has shown some flashes, but is heavily big play dependent. So uh, the answer to that question is a little off just because of Amari Cooper. I don't know how he's
yeah,
going to fit in here, but of the guys available, I'm going with Khalil Shakur because of the consistency, and you can reliably start him at flex.
yeah, it's a tough question. The reason why I said like pass catcher offensive is because I wanted to account for tight ends as well.
Yeah.
I think Kincaid still is the best here.
How's he been doing? I feel like he's had a
Yeah,
lackluster year.
overall the tight end landscape has been really bad, but he's getting the targets, and I feel like he's gonna have some positive regression coming up. It just he's getting like keep in mind I haven't watched Bills games, but he's logged at least 5 targets in 7 straight contests, and he's a set and forget kind of tight end. But
Yeah.
I would
But
out of every receiver on the Bills team, I think I trust Kincaid the best. So
I mean, yeah, he's had 2 touchdowns in that stretch of games that you mentioned. I haven't scored over 15 points yet this season. That's yes, he gets the target. He gets like in the past 6 games, he's had over 6 or more targets. Last game, he had 10 targets, only produced 7.2 points. I don't like the production rate there, based
yeah,
on the number of
it's a good
targets.
argument. Yeah, Shakir is definitely very reliable. It's not dropping many passes. Um, yeah, we'll see. The Bills offense definitely needs to. They just don't have anyone good for fantasy, like elite for pass
Yeah,
catching wise.
I mean, yeah. The only like top player that the Bills have is well, I guess I'm thinking purely offense, like wide QB, fantasy players is Josh Allen.
Yeah,
Like everyone else is pretty like average. James Cook is okay, but he hasn't unlocked into that top tier of running backs yet. So it's very impressive what Josh Allen is doing with the weapons he has.
I know. Hopefully, we'll see if he's in the MVP race. Keeping moving forward. And lastly, Monday game, we have the Bucks versus the Chiefs. Chiefs pull it off once again, 30-24. Yeah, I think this game went to OT as well. And Chiefs won the coin toss. Baker Mayfield was upset that they lost the coin toss because the rules are still the same in regular season. They changed it for playoffs, but for overtime rules, it's still the same regular season. So the Chiefs ended up just scoring a touchdown, gave it to Kareem Hunt. Done. Game over. Um, My question for you, Chiefs, are they going to go undefeated? They're 9, what are they? 8-0, 9-0?
Yeah, they're 9-0, 8-0. I think they already ended by going undefeated. I feel like the more you win games and the pressure of being undefeated sinks in, the
Yeah.
harder it is to keep being undefeated. But they are back-to-back champs and going for the three-peat. Let me see who they have to face next year.
I have it up. I was
Who are their
hoping we
next
could run.
few opponents?
So, rest of the season, next week, they're at home versus Denver.
Hmm.
I think that's a win for them because home games. And then the week after, they're at Buffalo. So I think this is a revenge game for Buffalo. This could be the best chance. And I guess for if you're looking at it from the Chiefs' point of view, the worst chance for them to uh, to get a win the rest of the season because those are the toughest. Because then after that, they're facing Carolina, Las Vegas, Los Angeles Chargers, Cleveland, Houston. If Stroud picks it up, we'll see. And then Pittsburgh and Denver. It's a very soft schedule. I think they're going to
Well,
lose one game to the Bills.
yeah, I think they're gonna lose the Steelers. I think it's
We'll see.
because it's they're gonna already have clinched playoff first of all, and the Steelers are a very formidable defense and a very well, you know, run disciplined team. I think, and also the last game to the Broncos divisional game. Divisional games usually, could go one way or the other. I think
Definitely.
the Broncos might be in contention for playoffs at that point, so I think they might lose that. I can see them possibly losing to Cleveland just because Cleveland find ways to beat the best teams. Like they're,
That's
but
true.
that
They
is
did beat
just
the
it.
Ravens.
Yeah, they beat the Ravens. They have a good defense. If they things clicked after their bye week a little bit more, then they might be able to. But like you said, it's a pretty soft schedule just because it's mostly divisional games and it's a pretty weak division.
Watch, they win every game that we mentioned, but lose to Carolina.
That would be very very strange.
That would
But
be
New
strange.
Orleans did lose to Carolina this weekend.
Yeah, we'll see.
Those
Bryce
that
Young maybe turn around.
the Saints are just honestly the Saints and Mike seem tied together.
Yeah, that's true.
Unfortunately for Mike.
Yeah, and then to touch on the box really quickly, just from like looking at the box score and like a little bit of the game, they really miss their top wide receivers, Evans and Godwin. Their offense is a little stagnant. They also had Jalen McMillan who was out for the game. Um, yeah, their offense is a little slower now, and it's understandable. You lost your best weapons essentially, but my guy Kate Otten, he looks like a top tight end moving forward.
Yeah, he's benefited the most out of all these
Yeah,
guys. James just keep getting blessed by tight ends. He traded away one tight end, got lucky with injuries, and another tight end became a top tight end. So good for James.
good for
But
James.
as long as Chris Godwin and Mike Evans are out, mostly with Chris Godwin out, I think Kate Otten is good. He's gonna
Yeah,
be he's gonna be getting a good amount of target on that short passes.
and lastly, I want to touch
Baker's
on
being phenomenal.
Baker. Yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
so he's gonna be good.
I do want to touch on Travis Kelce. He's back to being, I think, a elite tight end, a top three tight end. I think he's getting the targets, the short passes. Like I don't know, he he seems scary again.
Yeah,
Started slow,
yeah.
but I'm
I
scared.
think yeah, the addition of DeAndre Hopkins to the Chiefs and having like one other person for the defense to worry about really unlocks
Mhm.
Kelsey also. But he's getting his groove back. It's just it takes some time. He's getting a little older now, so it takes some time to get back in the groove.
Warm up. Yeah,
Yeah, unfortunate for me, I have to face him next week.
nice. Good luck. All right. Anything else before we move on?
No, I think it was a good game. Went to OT. Fun to watch.
Yeah, last thing I want to say is you mentioned at the like if the Chiefs like wrap up like a first seed or whatever, if they're still undefeated, I don't think they're gonna bench anyone. They're gonna go for the record.
I mean, what matters more?
The Patriots didn't
The
bench anyone when they were 16-0. They were
Yeah,
going
what? How
for it.
did that end?
They lost in the Super Bowl. I think if the Chiefs can
Exactly.
make it, you can't predict losing in the Super Bowl though.
I'm not saying you can. I'm just saying like, I mean, either way is not going to guarantee you could best players and no,
Yeah,
don't
that's what
get
I'm saying.
no.
I think the Chiefs, if they are at that point undefeated and they have 1 or 2 games left, they're going for it.
I don't know. I first of all, they're playing more games this year than the Patriots did when they had the undefeated record. Uh,
They have one
and
more
second
game.
of all, I think I would rather, mostly when it's starting to get colder in the year, and like I'd rather just let my guys rest and get some recovery and get the blood flowing for the playoffs. Uh,
I
then
hear you.
the
I don't think that's gonna happen. I think they're gonna go undefeated and try to be the first undefeated team to also go three-peat. I think they're going
yeah,
for like that legacy.
yeah. It's funny how this things like this play out though. I must say it could be like you get people injured in the last game that don't mean anything, and
Yeah.
you already secure top seed, number one seed, and everything. And uh, I would exercise. Must say if it's a bad weather game, I would say just forgo that. But like you said, it is a phenomenal feat to accomplish. So you'll probably shoot for it, but I don't know. Proceed with caution.
We shall see. All right. Let's move on to the stud list. Return of the stud list. Yeah, as we talked about, the first player on the list, Jackson Smith-Njigba. He had 7 for 13 catches, 180 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Overall, the highest score of the week, 37 points. Next player on the list, Saquon Barkley with the one of the most agile plays I've seen ever, the reverse hurdle. But anyways, 27 attempts on the ground, 159 yards, touchdown on the rushing touchdown. They also had 3 for 4 catches, 40 yards, 1 touchdown. Overall, 32.9 PPR points. And lastly, we chatted about this guy again, Devon Chan, 12 attempts rushing, 63 yards, 1 touchdown, and 8 for 8 catches, 58 yards, 1 touchdown. 32 points in total. So who's most likely you think going to repeat?
I gotta go with my guy, Saquon.
Saquon.
He's been the most consistent top player on this list. Uh, tough. No, I mean tough. Kind of tough defensive matchup, divisional matchup next week against the Cowboys. But Saquon is just having a phenomenal year, and
He is, definitely.
yeah, I gotta go rock with my boy.
You got to keep an account. Micah Parsons is back. So
That's fine. I mean, Saquon is an elite player.
I'm going with Devon Chan. He is facing the Rams, and Rams are very weak defensively. And um, yeah, that's all I got to say. Weak defense, speedy players.
Yeah,
Dolphins are going to boom.
yeah. I mean, also with AJ Brown sidelined, I think Saquon just gets to play more and gets more targets and gets
Yeah,
fed
we'll
more.
see.
But we'll
Or
see.
they or
Uh,
they stack the box against.
but he's not just a runner. Like stacking the box is it slows him down as a runner, but like he's so dynamic with his pass catching abilities that that strategy necessarily wouldn't might not fully work. I'm not saying it
It
wouldn't
may
work for
not.
sure, but it might not. Uh, Also, like you have Jalen as a runner also. But before we move away from the stud list, quick shout out to my guy D Hop. He got revived by that trade, and we got to see the OD up again. Got saved from the nightmare that is Tennessee.
Yeah, he was playing awful this year. I'll be
Yeah, it
honest.
was. I was literally about to drop him. Then I was like at the airport when I saw the news. Then I was like, oh, let me look at the any updates. I was just like, any update. And it was like, oh, DeAndre Hopkins is traded to Kansas City. And honestly, I'm so glad Sleeper was quick to update that because I was like seconds away from dropping. And I know you vultures in our league are going to grab him immediately if that
I don't
was the
think
case.
maybe, yeah. I had like a
Just the,
low waiver pick though, so I don't think.
yeah, not you, but like someone else would have grabbed him. And I was too, I don't think I was low enough to grab him
Definitely.
back. It's just, yeah, that. Well, I was glad I haven't made use of it yet because if I started him this week, I'll have won. But it's good to see him, and I like the upside that I see from him.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, moving on to the opposite side of the spectrum. These are the guys that might have cost people their matchup. We have guys on the Temi's not the list here. First, this is a repeat offender. You have Marvin Harrison Jr. Uh, two two out of he caught two passes out of the five targets that he had for 34 yards. Then he also fumbled the ball and only had 3.4 total fantasy points. Just like Marvin Harrison, his quarterback, Kyler Murray, is also on the naughty list, but he had 154 yards passing, six rushing yards. And just like Marvin Harrison, also fumbled the ball. It's crazy that the Arizona fumbled the ball twice and at the
Yeah.
turnover and still blew out Chicago. But speaking of Chicago, the last guy on the naughty list here is DJ Moore. DJ Moore had four catches out of nine targets for only 33 yards, 7.3 points. I don't know. This is game Chicago versus Arizona had a bunch of disappointing players.
It was
Uh,
bad, King.
yeah, of the three players, though, who do you think is coming back next week?
Um, I think it's gonna be DJ Moore. I think that yeah. So the Bears are facing the Patriots, and Christian Gonzalez is was recently ranked by a player survey as a top three cornerback in the league. And I think he's going to take the DJ Moore matchup. And Christian Gonzalez is a lockdown corner so far. He's shut down Devontae Adams the week prior. Um, Kevin really didn't do too hot this week. Yeah, I'm gonna go with DJ Moore.
Yeah, I think Chicago needs to find a way to involve DJ Moore a little bit.
Yeah,
Do you know who Arizona faces next week?
the Jet.
Ooh, okay, I'm going with Marvin Harrison Jr. I think Sauce,
Fair.
that top corner is going to take him. And Kyler Murray, that Jets defense is good when he decides to play. So Kyler Murray is going to have to do way better than he did this past week and involve the
Yeah,
passing game more. So I'm going with Marvin Harrison Jr. on that. Okay, moving on to the next segment here. We have our superlatives. You mentioned them earlier in the show. We are about halfway through the season. So let's do a quick recap by giving out some awards to players and also like managers in our league.
yeah.
Uh, let's give out the most important award first.
What's
the
that?
fantasy MVP, the player, Aneesh, who you got as your top fantasy player this year.
So the way I kind of made my decision with this is I looked at overall draft board and looked at where people were selected, if they were selected, because there all obviously are waivers who are worthy of consideration, waiver pickups are worthy of consideration here. But I'm not going with that route. But I am going with someone who's not a top tier player coming into the season. I think that Joe Mixon is the MVP so far this year. Aside from the games he got hurt, he's been undeniably elite. He's the engine for the Texans offense that's been struggling, as we talked about. And moving forward, nothing but high expectations for Joe Mixon. I think he's playing like a first round value where he was picked as a fourth round pick.
Yeah, Joe Mixon. I own him in one league, and he's been phenomenal to say the
Yeah.
least. So I don't like disagree with that. But I, similar to you, like when I'm trying to make this decision, I went by like, value to performance, work rate, and like availability. And usually for fantasy, I don't like going for the QB position, but I think this player made such a big case that I can't not go with him, and that is Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
I know, very surprising, but I
Mhm.
don't think Baker Mayfield was drafted as a starting QB for most league. But this year is averaging 22.5 points.
Yeah.
Even with losing his two top wide receivers, he's still putting up amazing production and using the guys around him. So it was a tough decision, but just the value to production rate, and even amidst of the adversity and injuries, is still able to give good fantasy production.
Yeah.
Like CJ Stroud, for example, lost his two top wide receivers and it became like unstartable. But Baker Mayfield is finding ways to make the Bucks be competitive and be contenders in the NFC. So that's my fantasy MVP.
Nice.
All
To
right,
move on. Yeah.
yeah, let's move on. So on the other side, we got the bust of the year, fantasy bust of the year. Nish, who is your fantasy bust of the year?
So I was debating a lot of three different players here. Um, and I ultimately chose the guy who I didn't end up picking because I was thinking about picking him in the second round and chose Kyron Williams over him. I'm going with Travis Etienne of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Um, he's been nothing short of disappointing. He's gotten hurt for 2 games. Sure, that's fine. But the other games he's been healthy. He's just been very average. He's been like a bench worthy player. Just this past week, he only got 3 carries against Philadelphia, and he fumbled too. Um, they're clearly losing faith in him, and first of all, the team isn't that good either. So I don't know. This the situation is very bad.
Yeah, I don't disagree, and he was definitely one of the top ones on my radar for
Yeah,
the bust of the year. Has been, I don't know, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't know, they paid Trevor Lawrence all that money just for him to be even honestly less than average. Uh, shouldn't have paid him that much money. But that team, as a whole, is just not looking good at all. And Etienne
yeah,
has had a very down year, so I don't think he would pick this up either. I definitely was big on Etienne coming into the year, and I was like in my head, I was like, oh, he's gonna be one of the guys I target. But I have this one rule when I'm drafting is even if I have guys on the list, just go with what the draft board gives you.
Mhm.
And luckily for me, the draft board did not give me ATN, so I stayed away. I did not draft him in any
yeah.
league. Uh, yeah, I don't disagree with you. Very disappointing year for Travis. But for when I was making this decision, I was evaluating two routes. I was evaluating, well, do I go on like top player, but in terms of like injuries play into factor, but you can't really control injuries. But for the level that like the player he's not my bust of the year, but the player that I was really debating was like CMC. Is he bust worthy? Just because for the managers that drafted him early, like he's such a high value pick, and he hasn't played at all, and we're approaching week 10. That like if you haven't found a way to cope, you're done.
Mhm.
So, but I decided not to go that route because injuries are part of football, and it's not a performance thing. And when I think of bust of the year, I think of performance. So, with that being said, my bust of the year is actually Jalen Waddle. Jalen
Mhm.
Waddle on ADP around fourth round, Well, since week one, Jalen Waddle hasn't scored over 10 points.
Yeah.
Yes, the wide receiver, the quarterback in Miami situation wasn't great. But for Jalen Waddle to not score over 10 points, even Tua came back the past 2 weeks, right? He still hasn't scored over 10 points. And we've seen this downward trend since last year in Jalen Waddle. But for a fourth round pick to not have scored over 10 points at all,
Mhm.
to me, in any, like, since week one, is very disappointing. So I decided to go with him as the bust of the year.
Yeah. He's very, yeah. I have, I have him in another league and I have to start him because I have 5 people on bye next week.
Uh, Maybe he'll do well this week. After we just
Maybe.
got him out. All right.
Yeah.
Moving on to more of our league centric superlatives. Fantasy Manager of the Year. This was a very controversial last year. My take on this, but here we are again. Who Anish is your Fantasy Manager of the Year so far?
We chat, we chatted a little bit about him earlier in preparation for this episode and we had him as special guest already. It is Ori, in my opinion, is the fantasy manager of the year. Um, he's been very active in his transactions. His draft has been really good. He had I would say a really good draft. He had Josh Allen as quarterback. He had Ramondre, who was a really good value where he was drafted. The workhorse. Montgomery, obviously pretty good. Kenneth Walker, very good. Tyreek Hill, obviously disappointment, but has potential. Devontae Smith, like I said, the very good receiver. And who do we talk about? Kelsey. Kelsey's back to being good tight end. And he had some really good waiver pickups. He had Josh Downs, who was playing really well with the Colts right now. And he has the number one kicker he picked up from the waivers, Austin Seibert. And yeah, he just makes some low key moves. He also has JSN on the bench and Lad McConkey, who could be a good pickup on a bye week or a good play on like if you have the top player on a bye week, for example. I don't know. He has a really good team, and I think he's the manager of the year. Should be getting his props.
Yeah, the flower story definitely in consideration. It was one of the two people I was looking at. Unfortunately for me, I'm facing Ari next week. So I'm going to be facing the manager of the year. And you should speak of manager of the year. And this past week, I faced my pick for manager of the year, which was James. Uh, James has found ways to win,
Crazy.
even when maybe there's some luck that matchups are favorable.
Yeah.
But it's kind of impressive his record with CMC being out and
Mhm.
how well he's done with CMC being out, and also the fact that he's made trades and moves
Yeah.
that maybe some of us questioned the those moves. He had an injury with Rashid Vice, and is 6-3. He's the number 3 seed right now in our league. So to
Mhm.
me, just because of those adversities faced, like you had two players go out for the season, and he's the number 3 seed in our league.
Yeah.
No, one that go out for the season. One go out of the season, one that hasn't played at all. He's number one overall pick, hasn't played at all, and he's doing this well. So that was what separated for me him from Ori. But like you said, I'm gonna give Ori his flowers. So yeah, it's been great. But I'm going with James.
Yeah. I do got to say though, he's looking like a team that might be. Um, I don't know. He's like overachieving in my opinion for the past couple
Maybe
weeks.
it is, but hey, he just overachieving until CMC comes back, and when
That's
CMC comes
true.
back, that's
Yeah.
a sub
If
player.
CFC comes back and is elite, and he also has Devon HN,
Yeah,
scary team.
the scary team. Then his wide receivers are pretty weak. Well, DK is like he also has DK injured,
That's true.
so it's he has an interesting team.
Right.
All right, the last superlative to give out here is this most underperforming team. I think our answers are gonna be the same here. But Anish, who is your most underperforming team?
You think our answer is going to be the same? Interesting. Um, I mean, I could go the Vinny route, but I'm not going to. I think I'm down to two teams. Um, I was gonna go with Mike, but I think maybe should I go with Lance? Because I've been hating on Lance's team since the start. Maybe I will continue to hate on Lance again. Lance, if you listen to this, I'm hating on you again. Um, yeah. So CD Lamb, great pick. Very mediocre start to this year. I'm not saying he's not good, but he's not the number two pick worthy of production. So that's concerning. Also, Dallas, very bad this year. Dak Prescott going to be on IR too. How is CD Lamb going to perform Cooper Rush? You don't know that. Chris Olave, concussion. It's his second concussion, the second or third concussion this year. Also on IR. Brock Bowers is very good. I'll give him his flowers, but his wide receivers looking a little iffy. Jordan Love looks a little iffy too. And I don't know. I don't really see what this team has going in the playoffs if he makes it in the playoffs.
So not underperforming, they just beating the par.
Oh, did I answer the question wrong?
So is the most underperforming. So oh, you're thinking more of the worst team. Is
Yeah,
that
I
what
was
you're
thinking maybe the
thinking?
worst team. Maybe I answered this wrong.
Okay. I guess let's just roll with the worst team then. I would have to improvise. Uh, yeah, I thought of underperforming, and that was gonna be
Yeah,
Vinny
who's your
because
underperforming?
my
Just
underperforming
answer.
was
Yeah.
Vinny, just
Vinny?
because like he has pretty good solid, like I guess his QB position is a little iffy, but he has I don't know a running back, Brissol, who's underperforming. He has Brian Robinson, he's been injured, but I think he subbed in Rico Dadu the
Oh
other
yeah.
week. Wide receivers, Malik Neighbors, Drake London, and he has Mike Evans on IR. Uh, Tight end, set and forget Dalton Kincaid, and like in the flex, he has different options with. I guess his flex position is weak, but he has Joan Jennings on by this past week, but then Chase Brown, who had a phenomenal week. I
Yeah,
think
I
on
get I
paper the team should be better than
definitely
two
should.
wins.
Yeah,
Uh,
you're right. It's definitely Vinny. I think that's the only answer though, right?
well, Sawyer could be classified as underperforming, but maybe not. No, I guess CJ Stroud, Puka,
Mike is just dealing with some
bad luck.
bad luck. I guess he's
Yeah,
also underperforming because he has Jefferson and Cup,
and Nico now.
and Laporta's been really bad. So maybe Mike is an
Yeah,
option too.
yeah. But in terms of like, I don't know, my worst take on the worst team, oof, it's tough. I think it's hard for me to classify one team as really bad in our league. So I guess maybe I don't know. Sawyer's team is looking really bleak just because his wide receiver position is too suspect. Like he has a Murray Cooper injury, DJ Moore on the down year. So that's and like his RB2 is Bucky Irvin, who is like a backup. His title is Hunter
He also has
Henry.
George Pickens though.
He has George Pickens, but oh yeah, he's on by. That's why I didn't see him. But still,
Yeah,
weak
Pickens
wide receiver,
With Russ looks.
weak on the wide receiver front, and CJ Stroud is not looking too hot. You know, maybe
Yeah,
I'll go trade him, give him a wide receiver. I have a ton of wide receivers I could trade. Try to get a solid, maybe solid running back or something. Go for Jameer Gibbs. That'll be a different, definitely interesting turn of events. All right. Moving. I think that wraps up our superlatives. So let's just quickly move on to injury watch. think we only have one main injury here. Chris Olave, you already touched on this. Chris
Yeah.
Olave, dude, I don't know what's going on with him this year. Like it feels like every week I get a notification. Olave going to the medical tent. Chris Olave concussion is out for a couple of weeks. Chris Olave this, Chris Olave injury. Probably has more of those news than tight end notifications this year.
Mhm.
It really sucks. I kind of feel bad for the guy that he's getting all these injuries and he's not playing to what we know he can play to.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I Did you see what Michael Thomas said?
Yeah, he was not happy with Derek Carr.
No.
He was.
That throw that led to Olave's concussion was an
Mhm.
awful throw. It was just literally just threw it to like double coverage that ultimately had like three people on him. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't watch that game, so I didn't see that play. But yeah, New
Scary play.
Orleans guy can't be throwing the hospital balls.
Yeah.
But were there any? Was it me missing injuries, or were there any other?
I mean, AJ Brown got hurt, but he
Oh
should be
yeah,
fine.
yeah. AJ Brown with the knee injury. That's a
Yeah.
big one. Hopefully he's fine and ready to go. All right. Short segment there. Moving on to our waiver wire targets. Who are you targeting on this very slim pickings waiver?
I think I'm gonna target. I mean, I don't know. I'm not gonna get him. No, I don't know if I will, but I'm gonna target someone who got traded today. Khalil Herbert. He got traded to the Bengals from Chicago, and Zach Moss is out for the year, most likely, with a neck injury. And Chase Brown is not a guy who's been ever given the workhorse role ever in his career. And he's good. I'm not saying he's bad, but they probably want to give him split up the touches there. So Khalil Herbert could be someone worth looking at.
Yeah, yeah, definitely good for Khalil because he wasn't getting lot of love in Chicago. So somewhere for him to shine, and we've seen what he can do last year. So he's high
Mm-hmm.
upside. Definitely good addition for the Bengals and good for Khalil. I don't know. Slim pickings on the waiver. I kind of is a controversial. Well, not controversial, but it's not really that high of an upside. Is Cam Akers.
Yeah,
I think as you get later in the season, if I own Aaron Jones, I would look closely at his backup and not stash him. Just
mm-hmm.
because in the past few years, like he's a great player, Aaron Jones is a great player, but in the past few years, later in the season, he gets injured. And if you don't want to be scrambling now, and if you have that bench position, but not a backup to that you can fill in if Aaron Jones get injured, his
Yeah.
pickup is a handicap. And honestly, Cam Akers looked pretty decent for the number of carries he had with the Vikings this past weekend. But you want to risk with Cam Akers though because I sometimes he's not playing well. Yeah, that's my waiver wire target. Uh, week 7 predictions there. So since we on the bye week, the past 2 weeks, we're not gonna recap our last sprint Brazil. We're just gonna do a new prediction this year. So we're gonna start with the bus prediction and end the show on a good note with the boom prediction. Uh, Aneesh, who do you have as your bus prediction this week?
Bucks prediction is Marvin Harrison Jr. He's playing the Jets. It's not gonna. It's another dud is on the horizon. The Jets are looking to turn things around. They are currently like in 3-6, and this is just not a good matchup for the Cardinals. We talked about them already, but I have to go with them.
Yeah, fair, good one. I'm gonna go a little risky, but also maybe it's not risky. I'm gonna go with the guy that we have all been waiting for to make his season debut. That's currently projected 20.2 points. Christian McCaffrey.
Wow, he's
It's
predicted 20. Damn.
Yeah, he's supposed to return, and I think 20.2 points is just too high. That is gonna maybe ease him in, but it's also CMC, so
Wow.
maybe they won't start him unless it's a full go. But I'm gonna stick my neck out here and see if CMC meets up to
Yeah.
the 20.2 points. I expect them to ease him in though.
Yeah, they are away against Tampa Bay.
Yeah, but Tampa Bay
Okay.
defense lets in. They like a lot of points in.
Yeah.
So, but just I feel like 20.2 points is 5 point cushion. So we see. Now going into the boom prediction. Who do you have for your boom prediction, Anish?
So I wanted to go an easy route and pick Tyreek Hill, but I'm gonna go a quarterback. Sam Darnold is gonna boom this week. The Vikings are facing the Jaguars. They surrender the most points to opposing quarterbacks, and he just got TJ Hawkinson back. Um, yeah, I think the Vikings are in must-win territory this week against Jaguars. The Lions are kind of pulling away, so yeah, it could be a Darnold show.
Yeah, interesting picking a quarterback. I feel like that would be the first QB boom we've picked uh, this year. For this year, I was looking. I forgot who they're facing, but my for this week, sorry, my boom is the Sean God Amon St. Brown.
Oh,
Uh, I picked him because they were facing. Who were they facing? I picked him because the matchup was good. Now I forgot who they were
Houston,
facing. Houston. Uh, Houston gave up a lot of points to Garrett Wilson and
that's
Devontae
true.
Adams this past week, and I think Detroit is a even more powerful offense that's going to beat them down. Detroit
Yeah,
is ruthless this year. Jeez, you were right earlier this season. They're a formidable team, and they're a tough team to beat. But yeah, I think
they're
the Jets are gonna get whooped by the Lions. Yeah, it's gonna be tough to stop them. Not the Jets, sorry, the Texans are gonna
yeah.
get whooped by the Lions, and yeah, it's just I don't think they're gonna be able to stop Amon-Ra. And he's gonna have a big game.
It'll be good for me because he hasn't really boomed at all this year.
Not at all. Not a single game. No
He's had
game
like
over
20
30.
points. No, no.
Incoming 35-point game.
Yeah, we'll see. We shall see.
Yeah, but I think that wraps it up for the show this week. It's good to be back. We've been busy on our break, but now we're back. Uh, yeah. Before we adjourn, Nish got any nugget for the fans this week?
I do. So everyone knows about the Daniel Jones statistic that he went over 700 days or something without throwing a passing touchdown in MetLife Stadium. But I want to expand on Daniel Jones a little bit. Um, yes, he did have a passing touchdown in that game, but he's the first player since 2000 to have a passing touchdown, but also zero passing yards in a half.
Did he get
Just
he
think
got
about that.
negative yards or something? He
Yeah,
got
yeah,
sacked.
negative
He threw it.
yards.
He threw. I didn't watch the first half of that game,
The first
but he
half,
threw like he
yeah,
threw like a 2 yard pass and then got sacked.
or
That is
it
insane.
just went for negative yards. Yeah,
Wow, DJ breaking new records.
yeah,
Let's see. I don't know how much did they pay. Did they pay him $40 million a year, man?
40 million. He's definitely done.
Yeah, go into that backup. I can't believe they chose him over Saquon, but Now they have Tyron Tracy, I guess. Not. Okay. Well, thank you for that. Is that all the facts you have? Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
just keeping it light.
Yeah. Cool. 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 Thank you, Nish, and thank you to all our listeners. Uh, I know you've missed us, but we're back now for the rest of the season. As usual, just follow us on our social media. You know the drill. Facebook, not Facebook. Definitely, we don't have a Facebook. Instagram, Twitter/X, TikTok, uh, Threads. We got it, and you can always email us as usual. So, thank you for listening. Peace.